Does anyone in the audience know someone who is maybe reckless or irresponsible, or someone who just plainly has absolutely no concept of the idea of accountability? I'm sure you all do, because I do. My name is Chris, and my own parents completely failed to demonstrate any form of accountability for basically anything that ever happened in the span of my life. Now, I know this seems kind of like a petty reason to give a speech on this, but it's because of this that I know the importance of the character trait and how it will affect people and the people around you. I believe that accountability is an absolutely vital character trait that you need to practice and possess in your everyday life, in your personal life, in your professional life. It's just absolutely necessary. Why? Because it is expected in most situations. Let's go into where specifically it can benefit you. It can impact your personal relationships, you know, friends, family, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, people that you interact with personally and regularly. It can impact your professional relationships, so bosses, coworkers, anyone else that you might work with or interact with in a professional capacity. And on top of all of this, which should be enough, by the way, it is the basis of our entire legal system. You do this, this is your punishment. Take responsibility for your actions. It's that simple. But first, let's delve into personal lives, okay? How accountability impacts your personal life. Let's start with something simple, caretaking. Maybe some of you have children. Maybe you have pets. Maybe you have siblings, someone or something that you are responsible for taking care of. Now, I'm going to give you an example of something that happened in my own life. One of my stepmothers was once asked to watch my father's dog. When my father got back, the dog was dead because she had done something that killed it. Now, this is an extreme example, but it is valid because she never took responsibility for her actions. She never said, yes, I did this. She never showed even a hint of remorse. And that is absolutely unacceptable. Again, I understand that this is extreme, but what if it was, say, a child? Say you left someone in charge of your child and you came back and they were hospitalized or dead, and all this person you left in charge could say is, well, I didn't do anything. No, that is unacceptable. But now, picture you doing that to someone else. Someone leaves you in charge of something, and you screw it up somehow. And when they get back, you just refuse to answer for your actions. This is also completely unacceptable, and you should know better. So, this is a major part in where accountability comes into action. If you screw something up, or you put something else in danger, or jeopardize something, you own up to it, and you accept the consequences. Now, another less extreme example would be, let's say, in relationships. If you say you lie to someone that you know in your personal life, a friend, family member, or say you do or say something that hurts them, one of my favorite expressions is, if someone tells you that you hurt them, you don't get to decide that you didn't. Imagine if you told a significant other, a friend, something like, hey, you did this and it really affected me. And they were just like, well, I don't think it did. This is ridiculous. And they're completely avoiding the fact that they had a part in your current state, the fact that they affected you, and they don't care. This is obviously not okay, and I doubt any of you would tolerate this from anyone you truly cared about or who really cared about you. So why would you do it to other people? Why? It doesn't make sense. So don't do it. It's that simple. But now that you've had a taste of your personal lives, let's move on to your professional life. Now, in workplaces, your boss can and will hold you accountable for basically anything you do. If you screw up something, if you misplace something, if you have a delay, if you're late, if you just don't show up, Your boss knows. He or she will say something, you will probably be penalized, and you better be able to offer an explanation for what went wrong, or at the very least an apology, because it is expected. If you don't do so, you will lose a job. It's that simple. In, it's not even, there's no deeper story here. That's just common sense. You will lose your job if you decide to behave this way in your professional life. And if you have to behave this way in your professional life, then why on earth would you not behave this way in your personal life? It simply doesn't make sense. Now, going on to the workplace thing though, there is such a thing as good accountability. If you do something good, I don't know, if you do anything good in your workplace, imagine a scenario where you do something and you should be rewarded for it. That's okay. Accountability isn't all bad. Being rewarded for something is a form of accountability. It's taking responsibility for your actions and accepting the consequence. The consequence just happens to be good, and that is okay. Moving on. It is also the basis of our legal system. You do this crime, you get this penalty. It's again common sense. If I run over someone with my car and then I flee the scene of the crime, skip my trial, don't go to the, you know what I'm talking about? If I flee the scene of the crime, if I skip my trial, if I evade arrest, it those penalties just stack on. So it's literally designed to force you to take accountability to get the least harsh punishment for whatever it is you've done. In fact, this is such a big part of it that juries literally exist to hold people accountable and decide whether or not they are guilty or innocent, which is a form of holding them accountable. If they decide you are guilty of this, then you will suffer this punishment. It's not it's not rocket science. Now, because of this, you would think that more people would be open to the idea of accountability, because at some point all adults have to serve jury duty and they have to be responsible for holding someone else accountable for their actions. So why not hold themselves accountable? Well, I don't really know, to tell you the truth. It's hard for some people. But in conclusion, accountability is an absolutely vital character trait that you will use in your personal life, your professional life, and is the basis of our legal system. And it is quite literally everywhere. It affects other people, it affects yourself, and it is a trait you should strive to build. I know it can be hard sometimes to take responsibility for your actions, especially if they're bad or if you're afraid, but you have to do it. Thank you.